Betty here and be a volunteer. You'll really enjoy it.
Yeah, it's very peaceful here because we're kind of out by ourselves in the park, and you can relax and forget all your problems while you work in the garden.
And that's what we need to do today.
Yeah.
So viewers, come on and join Betty. You're really going to be glad you did. Thanks so much to everybody here at the Chatsworth Historical Society. We've had a wonderful day. Join us next time for Aging Well in LA.
Hey, buddy! Don't you know you should never leave a cooking pan unattended? And a working smoke detector can warn you of a fire. Like the one behind me. My hero!
Next time, listen to the ball. Have a smoke detector and a fire extinguisher that work.
How'd you know?
The ball called.
What if a disaster strikes without warning? What if life as you know it has completely turned on its head? What if everything familiar becomes anything but? Before a disaster turns your family's world upside down, it's up to you to be ready. Get a kit, make a plan, be informed today.
Hola, soy Marisol, desde Canoga Park, la ciudad toda americana. Estás viendo LA City View, Canal 35, nuestra ciudad, nuestro canal.
In LA this week.
What does it take to escape the life of a sex trafficked victim? I'm Anna Margos, and we'll have the second part of our special report coming up.
It's taken nearly 4 decades, but now you can finally get those broken sidewalks fixed. I'm Rasha Goel. Up next, I'll tell you how.
Santa Claus is coming to town thanks to Santa's helpers at the U.S. Postal Service and generous volunteers like you. I'm Gil Reyes with the story next.
Hello and welcome to LA This Week. Thanks for joining us. I'm Yana Kay. Well, the city tackles the gang problem head on, not through arrests, but through lawsuits. The city attorney's office takes legal action against an alleged gang hideout south of downtown. Gil Reyes has more from South Park. Gil.
Yes, Yana, rampant and deadly criminal activity, according to the LA City Attorney's Office, taking place here at this 9-unit apartment complex in South Park. Basically, authorities telling the property owner to clean up the place or risk being shut down.
A wave of shootings, robberies, and assaults over a span of several years. One of the most recent incidents erupted in May. A man shot and killed while standing on the sidewalk. And authorities call this ground zero for such activity, an apartment complex on East 55th Street. Police say it's headquarters to the 52 Broadway Gangster Crips gang.
For the citizens of the area, this has been the epicenter, as the city attorney stated, of all the gang crime that goes on. and we have been able to make hundreds of arrests. However, what we've discovered over the years, we cannot arrest our way out of a problem.
So the city attorney's office takes the fight to the next level by filing a lawsuit against the site's owner. Gregory White Jr. is now urged to take steps to prevent crime on his property, like adding new video surveillance, improved lighting, and licensed security guards.
To have the owner reside at the building until the nuisance at the property is abated, and to generally hold the owner accountable.
Failure to comply means the apartment complex, next to a popular park and within walking distance of several schools, could be shut down. Since 2013, the city attorney's office has filed 44 similar lawsuits and obtained 56 injunctions requiring property improvements at alleged crime hotspots. Authorities have shut down 6 of those properties so far. In South Park, I'm Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
Plans are to turn some of those properties shut down by the city into much-needed housing for the homeless. Well, last week we introduced you to sex trafficking and prostitution in the Valley, how police are now going after the traffickers and giving prostitutes a chance to change their lives. Now we share the story of one sex-trafficked victim and how she got out. Anna Marcos brings us the second part of a special report.
Daisy, who's using an alias, once walked these streets turning tricks for money. Not because she wanted to, because the boyfriend she loved forced her to. She didn't know it then, but Daisy had not fallen in love with a boyfriend. She had fallen victim to a pimp and sex trafficker.
I didn't know anything about pimps. I didn't know anything about this lifestyle. The only thing that I knew was to go to school, get good grades.
Daisy was in college, but she had lived a sheltered life and had never even dated. Then she met a guy who reached out to her on Instagram.
After a while, after 3 or 4 months of him kind of just leaving a comment here and there, nothing excessive, nothing stalkerish. You know, he was kind of like an urban hippie who rode bikes. I figured, hey, why not? It's a cool guy, you know? So we just started going on dates.
Dr. Stephanie Powell runs Journey Out, a center for victims of sex trafficking.
He will find ways to have common ground with you. So if you say you were in the foster system, he's going to say I was in the foster system. If you say my mother doesn't understand me, he will go so far as to say, oh, okay, my mother didn't understand me either, but I understand you.
It very much started off with the boyfriend, girlfriend, for about a month or two, and then it just flips.
Daisy's boyfriend said he'd lost his job and wanted her to turn tricks to prostitute herself.
A pimp once said, if you cannot find a weakness, then you create one.
Knowing that I could lose him and knowing that I just wanted to be loved, all of those created the perfect recipe for me saying, okay, let me go ahead and do it. And so when I did pull my first trick, I remember handing him over the money. You have to kind of numb yourself. I knew it was getting bad when I was just crying every day.
The danger of getting out is he's telling you this whole time, if you leave me, I'm going to either kill you or I'm going to kill your family.
I remember one time he came and jumped on I lived on the second floor, jumped on it, got into my apartment, jumped on the second floor balcony, broke down my door with his bare body. It had been locked and everything. Knew what car I drove, and so ended up breaking the back window with a brick.
Daisy finally left her pimp boyfriend after an arrest for prostitution got her into a diversion program. Through the help of groups like Journey Out, she got safe housing, career guidance, and counseling. But her story highlights how easy it can be for a young woman, any young woman, to fall victim to a sex trafficker.
So often people would say, well, that would never happen to me, or that would never happen to my daughter. So the average entry age for human trafficking is between the ages of 12 and 14 years old.
Lieutenant Mark Evans of the LAPD makes it his business to know how these predators manipulate their victims as he chases them down in the streets.
The reason they move from location to location is so that they can help prevent the girls from developing relationships, developing mentors, developing friendships that they could go to help them escape.
He renames them. So your name could have been Stephanie, but now your name is Chocolate. So for some of them, they start to identify more with chocolate.
Daisy was lucky. She reclaimed her identity. She now teaches empowerment groups and serves as a mentor to other sex trafficking survivors.
I can see every day the work that I'm doing and how it matters. They can create such a beautiful, beautiful, amazing life for themselves every day that they could just be happy because they have that choice. And I want to give women those choices.
It may take some victims years to get out of the life. It may take them 6 or 7 false starts, but 66% of those who make it through this program never return to sex trafficking again. Instead of arresting the women, law enforcement officers now send those who want it to diversion programs that give them a fresh start. Some cases are harder than others.
A girl that's been in from age 13, now she's 23. And she has a long arrest record. And she has her pimp's name tattooed all over her face. As much as she wants to get out and will get out, it takes a long time.
In spite of the challenges around here, helping women find the self-respect they've lost is turning lives around. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
The Journey Out Drop-In Center serves about 250 sex-trafficked victims a year to get out of the life, and all services are free. For more information, visit journeyout.org. Well, as you just saw, sex traffickers use social media to solicit the most vulnerable victims, and young people who post photos online can become easy targets. That's why the city attorney's office is hoping to educate them on how important it is to be extra careful about what gets posted on the internet. Gil Reyes has more.
You may be familiar with Snapchat. The popular social media platform allows you to send photos that many believe disappear soon after friends view them. But the reality is those pictures can be retrieved, even by total strangers.
Say I send a Snapchat, there's apps out there that can save the Snapchats.
Teenager Katie Schwartz is among the hundreds of students learning about cybercrime trends at this yearly symposium at the California Endowment. Authorities warn that racy or incriminating photos that you thought had disappeared are increasingly being used to extort money or sex. Katie brought her mom, a prosecuting attorney for the city.
Every year I come, I learn new information that helps me not only with my job, I prosecute crimes against children, but it also helps me as a mom of 2 teenage daughters.
Despite the dangers, Deputy City Attorney Laura Drino thinks it's a mistake to ban teenagers from using social media.
The parents that forbid social media, all they're doing is creating a disconnect between themselves and their children, and then their children are creating these accounts behind their backs. I like to talk to my kids about the apps. I ask my kids to show me how to use an app.
Social media is good, but you should always use it responsibly.
Just to watch what you post and to think about it before you post it.
And as cyber technology and trends constantly upgrade, so too must education regarding cyber crimes. Bottom line, if you are a parent, being aware and talking to your kids can go a long way in preventing crime. In downtown Los Angeles, I'm Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
This was the symposium's 8th year. Some 400 teachers, parents, and students took part. Well, some of the hottest new vehicles to hit the road in 2017 first made a stop at the LA Convention Center, and there was plenty of pizzazz to rev your engine. Gil Reyes reports from the LA Auto Show.
Let's get the show on the road with some really hot cars. How about Hot Pink? The recently restored Panthermobile is the official car from the 1970s Pink Panther cartoon show. It's one of the crowd pleasers.
The boys love cars, so we decided to stop by.
At the Los Angeles Auto Show at the Convention Center.
The LA Auto Show, we've been around for 109 years, so to see that this is an ongoing popular show, especially here in downtown Los Angeles, is a big deal for us.
More than 50 vehicles debuted, including the world premiere of 4 executive-class Porsche Panameras. Expect more horsepower and performance than previous Panameras from Germany.
We sell about just under one quarter of all of our cars in the United States and California, and LA is also a very strong sales region, so it means a lot for us to be well represented here.
Also unveiled for the first time in this or any other Galaxy, limited edition Nissan Rogue One SUVs. Only 5,400 were built as promotions for the newest Star Wars movie. For practical driving, industry experts say fuel-efficient SUVs are in, luxury sedans are out. Mercedes, Chevrolet, Volvo, and Nissan also saw world premieres in Los Angeles, and one space was even reserved for something totally unexpected, the Urbi, a lightweight folding electric scooter.
The Urbi helps people take public transportation who currently live perhaps a mile, 2 miles, or even 3 miles from the closest MTA or Metrolink stop. The Urbi is approved to go on the MTA and the Metrolink, so we're really proud to be helping people take public transportation and save time and money getting to and from places.
The Urbi tops out at 15 miles per hour and can go 20 miles on a single charge. So what will the near future hold for the LA Auto Show? Autonomous vehicles, maybe? Industry experts have the wheels turning. At the LA Auto Show, I'm Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
Now, this year's auto show also saw the return of the Ride and Drive event. Fans were allowed to take test drives of nearly 100 brands of cars. Well, after 4 decades, a plan has finally been cemented into place to help fix LA's crumbling sidewalks. Rasha Goel has more.
The sidewalk is unsightly, and it has to be done sometime. It is dangerous for some people.
Vaughn Armstrong, a 33-year resident of the Silver Lake neighborhood, is among the many Angelenos who was happy to hear about the city's new program. City officials recently launched Safe Sidewalks LA, a new $1.4 billion plan to fix the city's buckled and broken sidewalks over the next 30 years.
One of our principal goals here is to ensure accessibility. So where there have been complaints regarding accessibility by our senior and disabled community, we're mapping that right now throughout the city. So where those complaints have been, where they've been heaviest, those will be priority areas.
Angelenos can report their problems on sidewalks.lacity.org or by calling 311.
I would urge everyone to do that, because by having that kind of public participation, our departments will be in a better position to be able to prioritize where you can get the most repair and the most impact early on in the program.
For those Angelenos who are in a hurry to repair their sidewalks and are willing to pay for it, they are eligible for a rebate program in which they can earn up to $2,000 for a residential lot or $4,000 for a commercial lot. Now, this rebate program will be available for 3 years.
Once they inspect the damage, they'll give an estimate of what the rebate would be based on 50% of what the city's cost to repair it would be. And many times that rebate may be enough or nearly enough to do the entire job by a private contractor.
The program is up and running right now. So if there's something you need to report, Safe Sidewalks LA is just a click away as the city begins making repairs on the most damaged sidewalks. In Los Angeles, I'm Rasha Goel for LA This Week.
Again, the website to report any sidewalk issues is sidewalks.lacity.org. Well, managing your money and planning for the future can be challenging, but the City of LA is helping answer your money questions and offer some valuable advice.
Now that I'm actually starting to make more money than I did as a student, I thought it was a really good investment in myself to come out and learn as much as I can.
Katie Robertstead is looking toward her financial future and came to the Central Library for Financial Planning Day, the kickoff for a citywide effort to better educate residents on what it takes to make wise financial decisions.
Often cases the public has never had an opportunity to meet with a financial planner. There's no strings attached, there's no selling, there's no giving out of business cards. This is pure financial, answering financial questions.
Attendees were given the chance to meet one-on-one with certified financial planners and receive free, personalized advice.
He gave us some pretty good advice about, just how to keep our expenses down and how much that we should be saving for a house, how much the down payment should be and things like that.
The workshop also included seminars and a chance to connect with organizations specializing in topics from buying credit, retirement planning, and credit card debt.
Most Americans are somewhere between $500 and $799. So you want to be over on this side. So we're going to let you know how you're going to do that.
This is only the first of a series of city-sponsored workshops. It joins with an ongoing effort of the Los Angeles Public Library to empower residents with information and skills to create a more prosperous future. Well, you can find out more about the financial planning program by going to lacontroller.org/ready. Well, why not add a little classical music to the holiday mix? Well, that's just what happened at the Midnight Mission as homeless residents got treated to an earful of music. Anna Marcos was there.
This guy with his stylish hat would be right at home at the opera, except this symphonic experience is no opera. It's a musical event meant for homeless residents at Skid Row's Midnight Mission.
This is great music. I tell you, every time I listen to classical music, it reminds me of the fall or the winter time, and it's just music to the soul. It speaks, especially during these holidays coming up. I love it.
And the classical virtuosos providing this music to the soul are members of the USC Thornton School of Music.
I'd like to take the opportunity to really share some of this music that really means so much to each of us and that we've kind of devoted our lives to.
They've been extremely interested and excited to play for a population of people that they don't normally ever get to see.
The passion certainly shows in these chamber ensemble musicians. As for the listeners, well, they come in all types. Some are a little restless, some applaud and salute enthusiastically, and some, well, they've just fallen asleep. But the music is definitely a nice break from holiday stress.
The holiday season can be lonely times if you don't have family. I'm speaking from my own experience. And I know that reaching out and knowing that there's a community here that folks can come and sit down and listen to a little music and just take them away from the mundane, and it can just be a little bit nicer to know that we're here.
These guys are getting quite an artistic sampling: solos, quartets, quintets, even some avant-garde performance art.
I will be playing like some solo piece by Stockhausen, which is very modern music, new music, and very theatrical, because it's a lot about facial expressions and emotions that are just more blunt. Yeah, it just links directly to something more deep and more real.
Because a little music added to the holiday routine seems to do a body good. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
The Midnight Mission puts on musical events for residents several times a month. Well, with Christmas almost here, kids nationwide have sent letters to Santa, hoping for something special under the tree this year. The U.S. Postal Service is helping to make those dreams come true, thanks to some real-life Santa's helpers. Gil Reyes shows us.
So this letter is from Sylvia, and she says to Dear Father Christmas, here is my wish list. I really want a pair of Ugg boots size 5.
The United States Postal Service receives some 30,000 letters addressed to Santa Claus every year, and thousands of them are actually answered through Operation Santa.
This started, if you can believe it, over 100 years ago. 1912, we started Operation Santa, and it's held strong because there's such a charitable feeling in the community.
Postal employees and volunteers read the letters and choose which ones they're able to answer, oftentimes with gifts or gift cards. Many of the notes come from children in need.
Some where their parents one parent has just passed away. Some of them being raised by their grandmother. Grandmother doesn't have a job. It shows me how fortunate I am, so I just want to pass that on to maybe another kid or someone that's less fortunate than myself.
One volunteer, Patrick Reynolds, is the grandson of tobacco company founder R.J. Reynolds, now an anti-smoking activist following his father's death from lung cancer. Reynolds adopts letters every year. He even founded a website, beanelf.org, which lists Operation Santa volunteer centers nationwide.
I want to give back, and I want to take care of people less fortunate than myself. And these letters are powerful and moving. This one says, Dear Santa, this Christmas is going to be very sad because my dad is going to lose his job. He's not going to be able to buy us things because there's going to be no money. And people out there can make a difference by coming down here, adopting a letter.
Now, it's impossible to read every single letter. That's where you come in. Volunteers are needed to read letters and grant wishes, and you can do that here at the main post office's processing center every Tuesday and Thursday through December 15th. In South Los Angeles, I'm Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
Help grant a child's wish this Christmas. Adopt a letter by stopping by the U.S. Postal District office. That's at 7001 South Central Avenue, Tuesdays and Thursdays through December 15th. Well, a discontinued but popular form of transportation in downtown LA is one step closer to becoming a reality. The holidays are in full swing as folks ice skate to the beat and celebrate the season with song and tradition. All this in City Beat. A proposed streetcar project in downtown Los Angeles is on track after City Council signed off on a preferred route for the line and the findings of an environmental impact study. The council approved a 3.8-mile route that loops between the Civic Center, which includes Grand Park, the Convention Center, and the Fashion District in the South Park area. The proposed route is expected to have stops near downtown theaters and shops along Broadway, Grand Central Market, and several hotels. City officials say the project will restore a form of transportation that had been popular in downtown Los Angeles during the early half of the last century. Well, folks got into the rhythm of the holiday season as they hit the Pershing Square skating rink for the first ever silent dance party. While wearing wireless headphones, skaters were able to choose their own skating soundtrack at this one-of-a-kind Los Angeles event. And by the looks of things, a good time was had by all. Over in Council District 13, the community gathered to help kick off a holiday tradition, the 25th annual Atwater Village Festival. The event featured local school choirs, Victorian carolers, a visit from Santa, gingerbread housemaking, and characters Elsa and Olaf from Disney's Frozen. Well, it was an opportunity for art and shopping on Historic Museum Row. Raja Goel has more on an event that recently showcased the talents of LA artists.
Shoppers got a taste of something truly local at this annual Craft and Folk Art Museum Fair in LA's historic Museum Row. From ceramics, jewelry, textiles, you name it, they were all here.
We have a long tradition here of doing a holiday marketplace. It goes back at least 40 years, and we've kept up that tradition by bringing artisans from the area to come in and sell their wares. It's a way of bringing handmade craft to the public.
Today we're showcasing LA makers from all over the city. They're bringing in their wares to sell for some holiday shopping.
Local artists got an opportunity to showcase their work, while shoppers got a chance to buy one-of-a-kind pieces.
The fabrics are absolutely beautiful. There was some other work in the back that I really loved, plates with faces on them. It's just, it's an interesting group of people.
A lot of really interesting art here and crafts. I love it. I love seeing, local artists showing off their craft.
The Craft and Folk Art Museum is located on Historic Museum Row and features exhibitions of work that take traditional techniques in new directions. It is described as a place to see and make art.
The Craft and Folk Art Museum's been on Wilshire Boulevard for 50 years. It's a wonderful small museum where there's always something unexpected. We hope to teach people quite a bit about how to make things themselves and give themselves the pleasure of being able to craft something with their own hands.
Whoever curated these people did a great job because it adheres to the tradition of this museum here and honoring all different types of craft and folk art.
Shoppers say there's so many great artists, they'd like to see this event happen more often, not only around the holidays. I'm Rasha Goel for LA This Week.
The Craft and Folk Art Museum has activities year-round for the entire family. For more information, you can check out cafam.org. Well, here's your chance to visit the North Pole and not have to go very far. A holiday favorite will have you singing in your seat and get up close and personal with a dazzling display of holiday lights. All this in this week's Things to Do. Stroll through an illuminated North Pole Village in front of the historic Battleship Iowa and take advantage of all the holiday excitement. Presented by the Battleship Iowa and Council District 15, enjoy a special evening interactive tour through the decked halls. A special mailbox will be located in the enlisted mess hall where you can write a letter to our troops overseas or send your Christmas wish list to Santa Claus at the North Pole. Food will be available from local food trucks, plus other treats. Santa Claus will be available for pictures and Christmas wishes too. Catch all the fun on December 23rd, 30th, and 31st at the Battleship USS Iowa. The beloved TV classic Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer soars off the screen and onto the stage this holiday season. Come see all of your favorite characters from the special, including Santa and Mrs. Claus, Hermie the Elf, the Abdominal Snow Monster, Clarice, Yukon Cornelius, and of course Rudolph, as they come to life in Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the musical. It's an adventure that teaches us that what makes you different can be what makes you special. Don't miss this wonderful holiday tradition that speaks to the misfits in all of us. See all the magic on December 23rd and 24th at the Dolby Theater in Hollywood. For more, visit dolbytheater.com. The Valley's version of Candy Cane Lane can be enjoyed from the comfort of your car, but be prepared for traffic as hundreds of residents descend upon the enchanted Village of Lights. The group of homeowners on the 4 streets bordered by Oxnard, Martha, Corbin, and Winnetka collectively outdo themselves every year, and cars are drawn like kids to Santa. Visitors are encouraged to dim headlights on the 8-block stretch so that everyone can enjoy the lights. Brace yourself for slow-moving traffic, so slow, in fact, that most cars end up with kids poking their heads through the sunroofs, waving at each other with holiday cheer. The lights can generally be enjoyed through New Year's Eve. And that's a look at some things to do. Well, that's going to do it for this edition. I'm Yana Kay, and from all of us here at LA This Week, thanks for joining us. A reminder that you can catch us online at lacityview.org. You can also follow and like us on Facebook. We'll see you back here next week for more of LA This Week.
Members, please come to the council chamber. Members, if you're in your offices, please. Good morning, good morning. Today is Wednesday, December 14th. I want to welcome you to your Los Angeles City Council. If we could get it quiet, a little shh. Again, like I said, it is Wednesday, December 14th, and welcome. Mr. Clerk, we do have a quorum. Could you please call the roll?
Blumenfield, Bonner-Buscaino, Cedillo, Engler, Harris-Strassen, Weezer, Carrasco, Crane, Martinez, Farrell, Price, Rue, Wesson. 12 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
First order of business.
Approval of the minutes.
Mr. Price moves and Mr. Bonin seconds. Next.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Mr. Buscaino moves and Mr. Blumenfield seconds. Please continue.
Mr. President, committee reports for items 13, 18, 20, 21, 22, 24, 40, and 49 have been posted and circulated for Council's consideration. There is a recommendation to refer item 39 back to the Entertainment and Facilities Committee and to continue item 56 to January 10, 2017. Lastly, for item 19, no action should be taken inasmuch as the same matter is scheduled as item 66 in today's special meeting.
Okay, then let's proceed. Without objection, that'll be the order on those items, but let's proceed.
Very good, sir. Mr. President, inasmuch as today is Council's last meeting before the recess, would you like to send all matters forthwith?
Yes, please. Thank you for the reminder.
Very good, sir. Items 1 through 10 are items noticed for public hearing.
Do you have cards?
Yes, sir. Cards on all items.
Okay, continue.
Items 11 through 40 are items for which public hearings have been held. For clarification, for item 13, the correct case number is CPC 2014-1772DA, and there's been a request to hold item 37 for Mr. Cedillo for an amending motion.
Okay, let's hold that item, and also let's hold item 11. Mr. Weezer? Was that 22?
22.
Hold for Mr. Cedillo, Mr. Weezer, item 22. Mr. Englander?
Yes, Mr. President, I'd ask that we reconsider an item from yesterday's council, 16-0160S837. It was a lien. We'd like to continue it for 60 days.
Okay,
so we'd have to reconsider it. And then
why don't we just take care of that now, Mr. Clerk? So let's vote on, do you have the number?
Yes.
Let's vote on reconsideration on this item. Let's open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Okay, and per Mr. Englander's request, We will hold that item until February 14th. Mr. Englander, that's 60 days. Okay, Mr. Clerk, let's return to the agenda items. And I guess we can vote on the remaining items?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Bloomingfield, we're on 11 through 40, I believe.
Okay, never mind.
Okay, so let's prepare to vote. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Continue.
Very good, sir. Items 41 through 65 are items for which public hearings have not been held. A Plum committee report has been circulated and posted for item 49. 10 votes are required for consideration.
Okay, so without objection, those items are now before this body. Mr. Price.
Mr. President, forthwith on item 13, please.
Forthwith on item 13.
What's 40?
Okay, in fact, Mr. Price, we're going to do all items today forthwith. So, Mr. Buscaino?
Item 50, can we hold that on the desk, please? 50.
Let's hold 50. Mr. Bloomingfield.
You could hold item 41 on the desk until I get a chance to meet with him.
41, we'll hold that as well. Mr. Clerk.
Pardon me, sir. Perhaps as a preemptive, there are cards in on all items in this section.
Well, thank you for that preemptive. Okay, continue. Continue,
Mr. President,
Clerk.
it's a bit early for today's special meeting. That takes council back to items called special or general public comment for items not on today's agenda.
President?
All right, Mr. Bloomingfield.
I just wanted to acknowledge we've got some special students in the
Go
audience
right
here.
ahead.
From James Jordan Middle School in Winnetka, we've got folks here to see how the city works. Come on, stand up, guys. See yourselves on TV.
Give
Let's
them
give
a
them a
round
big
of
round of
applause.
applause. A great school in my district. Mrs. Reiser is with them, and we appreciate them. They're one group. We're going to have another group of them coming down later in the day. So
Wonderful.
Enjoy the city.
Happy holidays. Mr. Murphy, Sean Murphy. Sean, why don't you come on up? Sergeants, if you could remove. Sean, you have items 61, 62, 63, 64, and 65. You can
Wow,
speak on.
okay. Yes, item 61. It's an item. Oh, sorry. It's items. Let me start over. Item 61. It's a good item. Be good for the city. Item 63. It's another good item. Think the city's going to do well on those items. That's all. In general public comment.
Okay, Mr. Clerk, could you give him his 1 minute for general public comment?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I want to wish everybody a happy holidays. I'll be busy singing in the church choir.
Good for
Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Sir, I have a problem with one of your sergeants yesterday. I have some people that have cancer. I don't need one of your sergeants downstairs to yell at me. I want to let you know I'm sorry. But he should be F-I-R-D. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy, and happy holidays to you. Mr. Previn, Eric Previn, Mr. Previn. Mr. Previn, items 1, 7, 41, 42, 44, 46, 47, 56, 58, and 64. Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Was item 1 in there? It was, correct? Okay, fine. So, item 1, there is a little request for a CD7 group. You're looking for the authorization to deny their protest as part of the item. I would urge you to continue that because there is no representation for them from CD7 at this time, as you know. Mr. Felipe Fuentes has vacated his seat, and the City Council and the Mayor of Los Angeles have refused to do the appropriate thing by appointing a constituent resident who can vote on behalf of the 250,000 residents of that district, sir. So if you wouldn't mind taking care of that, we would certainly appreciate it. Item number 7, I just have to pause briefly to simply say thank you. My God, these are individuals from Los Angeles who are giving easements dedicated to walkways and various other things. It's quite touching. It is an expression of civic effort, and they also pay. They have to pay the city to do it, to give it away. So let me just simply say thank you to that group. It's deeply moving. Item number 13 is Mr. Price and Reef, of course. Once again, he's bringing up an enormous tower. We're alternating between hero behavior and this kind of thing. Last week we were thanking him for the second chance.
Mr. Previn, we've already voted on item 13. So please move to items 41 or 42.
Yeah. Well, how about 44, sir, which is out in CD7. No, it's not. It's on Landale and Coldwater. That is a street lighting one where I am promising my constituents to have a look-see because it's right in my area. I'll look and I'll report back on how that one particularly goes. Item 42, we got Perez in there on the commission of, it's the Board of Civil Service, and it's a 2-to-2 balance. I'm always tracking these things closely. We have one councilwoman and 14 men here. At Board of Supervisors, we have 4 women and 1 Margaret Lee Thomas. And in the Ethics Commission, we have 4 women. And Mayor Garcetti will be appointing a new ethics commissioner hopefully soon. We don't know what he's waiting for. We certainly hope he's not waiting until after the election. That would be extremely poor form, obviously. Item number 41, just a little shout out. This is the Innovation and Performance Group. Well, we could do some innovative work here, certainly, Mr. Price. One thing that we could do is we could ship off the Xerox guys to a different approach. We need to resist the temptation to go after, with increasingly sophisticated technology, ordinary Angelenos, Mr. Bonin. And I realize Salida Reynolds is a big talent from the Bay Area. We brought her down. And she's rolling around on the floor with England or Kanabi, Allen, and Xerox. This is not okay. The people of Los Angeles are tired of being perniciously attacked over everything, quite frankly. And I have some personal experience that I'll be sharing during my run for mayor. And we up to the public comment section now?
Mr. Clerk, please give him his minute for
Thank you.
public comment, general
Sir,
public.
There's too much on this agenda. I had many things I wanted to talk about but couldn't, even in those 18 seconds, so I had to get to the public comment. And that's because, once again, Rule 93, which is really important because, especially now when there are, I think there's dozens of candidates who are in the world, want to talk and debate with you guys some of the issues that LA is facing. Council Rule 93 says that everybody at a public meeting appears the same. And yet in a few minutes, I assume, there'll be a nice presentation and we'll show some of the council members in full living color, which we adore. Everybody should get that treatment. For example, your son is dressed figuratively and entertainingly today. We would like to see that, just like you see me, sir, but you don't see me. And that's the problem. It's not my own ego, certainly. It's about regular Angelenos wanting to hear from other Angelenos. And that's where I'm asking you, as the council president, and Mayor Garcetti as the current mayor, although everybody's wondering if he's going to move on to some other position. He seems to be on the talk show circuit. You could check him out on Chelsea Handler yesterday. I don't understand what's going on, as we have significant problems in the city of Los Angeles that require his attention. And so for that, sir, I say ericprevin.com.
Thank you, Mr. Previn. I want to call up Mr. Spindler, Mr. Wayne Spindler. So you're like items 1 through 10, 41 through 65, and I think 68 and 69.
Oh, okay. Again, let's give a shout out to the kids from Winnetka. Yay! Well, the kids are here to learn about City Hall, so let's
stay on the items, Mr. Spindler.
It's the puppet, okay, you know. Okay, puppet, go ahead. Puppet. Sorry, now you scared him. He's not going to talk.
The speaker is not speaking to anyone.
Stay on the item.
I know, but you scared a puppet.
No,
right.
Mr. Spindler, get on an item.
You know. Okay. Basically, we have the REAP, and we got a whole bunch of people getting off of that REAP list. It's going to be good. So those of you that have working mothers, many of you live in these buildings, and what happens is that you give your rent checks to the city, and the city keeps the money and makes the landlord fix the building you live in until it's compliant with the law. Once it is, then they get off the REAP list. So we got tons of good landlords on item 47 and all over the city, every district, pretty much. So congratulations to those landlords, because you know what? You can't hate landlords. Landlords provide housing. They got a tough time making money. They try to do what they can. These are the good landlords, and we thank you for that work. So now, the rest of this agenda is just filled with all kinds of stuff. And it's just all kinds of giveaways, plot maps. They have this thing for the kids out there, what they do is they go ahead and they take a piece of land that's worth nothing, and then they pay off the city councilman. And then the city councilman hires somebody called a lobbyist, and then they continue to pay off the mayor and the commission, and then they get a subdivision map. And all of a sudden, the value of your property doubles and triples overnight, and you only got to bribe these people like
What item are you on, Mr. Spindler? What item?
Yeah, I'm just...
No, what item are you on?
On maps.
What item are you on, Mr. Spindler?
On the maps. The item on the maps. It was listed on the agenda, the maps. So all of your little maps that you get, that's just a bunch of people. So if you grow up someday, kids, and you got a lot of money, just come here to City Hall, pay these people off, and you can double the value of your land overnight. That's why Donald Trump's the president, because he's been buying these people for decades. Donald Trump bought these people here in 1990.
Let's give him his general public comment.
Yesterday, let's give Councilman Mitchell Englander credit. Now, normally, we don't do that, kids, but yesterday, Mitchell Englander opposed the borrowing of money to pay people who got shot by LAPD. What he did was he attempted to stop the city from putting itself into bankruptcy. But see, the city's bankrupt, kids. So the man in the middle up there, he gave away $8.4 million yesterday, and he wrote the check. And you know what happened? Insufficient funds. The city is bankrupt. The city has no money to pay any of these judgments, any of these bills. The city right now can be foreclosed on. So that's why the councilman from the 12th District, Mitchell Englander, pointed that out. When he does a good job, we say it, and when you screw up, we know it.
Mr. Walsh, John Walsh, if we could bring Mr. Walsh up on the screen. Mr. Walsh, items 1, 41, 46, 50, 56, 58, 63, 68, 69, 70, 71.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org, tweeting at HollywoodDems. Again, when you do a good job, I'm the first to congratulate you. And I haven't heard any problems, anybody on street lighting in this city since you got rid of those carbon arc things, which drove us crazy during the Bradley years. So again, you're doing a good job on the street lighting. Number 41, this is Tony Huang, Innovation and Performance Commission. We don't need an Innovation and Performance Commission, but at least this gentleman here has never been indicted or convicted of child porn. You put somebody up here who was, you can check it in my website, convicted of of dealing in child porn. Number 46, and number 46, this is HHH. We got rid of HHH, Citizens Oversight Committee. Homelessness pimps. I mean, I cannot believe how much money limp dick liberals make out of homelessness. And incidentally, for those who believe that Asians, because of the color of their skin, are not homeless, take a walk around Skid Row as I have. You'll see a growing number of Asians and very few Hispanics because they go back to Mexico when they're in big trouble, or El Salvador. And number 47, this is REAP, and number 58. 58 is tax regulatory city attorney relative to an amendment outside. Why do we need outside counsel? We have the highest paid city attorney, and we're constantly going for millions and millions of outside counsels. That's why we're near bankruptcy. We are in number 58 and then 63. This is District 9. Finally, this area, 33rd Street and Central, is getting a full signal. You want to know why? Because they're turning it white. It was black for about 50 or 60 years. Now it's turning white, it's gentrifying, and now they're getting their goddamn racist signal. That's the only reason they're getting a signal at 33rd Street and Central Avenue. People have been killed. They've been run over. Go out there and take a look. Take a look at what it was like. But now the white people are coming in and the black people, go to hell. That's what your mayor tells you. Go to hell.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh. Let's go to his general public comment.
Okay, general public comment. This is what happened yesterday. $8 million in 3 settlements for police brutality. The city didn't have the money. The city is on the edge of bankruptcy. The city is now, and you can read it in the LA Times, issuing bonds to pay off for police brutality. They're issuing bonds. Can you believe that? The city, when we come back in January, the city may be in bankruptcy. It is on. Suppose you out there had a big debt and you couldn't pay it. What would you do? You would take your house and you would borrow. That's just what the city is doing. The city doesn't belong to LA anymore. The city belongs to the banks. The city is near bankruptcy and no one gives a shit.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh. Thank you. Okay, that concludes our multi-speaker cards. At this point, Mr. Clerk, let's vote, and Madam Clerk, let's vote on items 1 through 6, and also items 8, 9, and 10. Are we good? Okay, then let's open the roll.
Mr. President, I'd like to continue item 8 until January 16.
Could we, let's scratch that. There's a request to continue item 8.
18th, I'm sorry, January 18th.
Wait, I missed you.
January 18th.
January 18th, and that is item 8.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so now we will vote on items 1 through 6 and 9 and 10. So let's open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate.
12 ayes.
Thank you. Let's go to item 11. I'd like to make a request that Mr. Raul Claros come to the center table. Anyway, Mr. Claros is up for an appointment on one of our commissions, and I want to afford him the opportunity to say a few words before the members decide which way they're going to vote. Vote yes to have you confirmed, or no. You sure you don't want to bring your daughter up just to charm everybody, to ensure? No, but his lovely daughter and his wife are here as well. Raquel, why don't you guys come up too? And bring up Valentina. This is one of the great young families that live in the greatest city on the planet, and that's Raul and Raquel and Valentina. Mr. Claros, why don't you give us a little bit about maybe your background and what kind of ability do you believe you'll bring to this commission?
Thank you, Mr. President. Council members, thank you for the opportunity to speak before you. I'm humbled by the opportunity to serve in this new capacity as commissioner. I want to thank Mayor Garcetti's office as well as my council member Gil Cedillo for the opportunity to serve. In my current capacity as the executive director of the American Red Cross Northern Valleys chapter, I get an opportunity to really work with the most vulnerable communities on a daily basis. Also, my time working for you as a deputy, Council President Wesson, really brought me to the forefront of the homeless issue when, through your leadership, we worked on Project Hope, which is now a citywide initiative with LAPD. So I salute you and that experience that you were able to give me, where I have seen the importance of all type of affordable housing that is now needed, as well as the work that I've done in South LA. And I see Councilmember Marquise Harris Dawson to my right, where we spent many years in South LA resurrecting the King Estates and Martin Luther King Park area to secure not only affordable housing, but that there would be responsible businesses and quality programs in the community. So in this current capacity, I just hope that I can be a bridge between the voice of the community and the ear of the decision makers.
Okay, and before I acknowledge Mr. Price, why don't you introduce, we have some special guests that are with us today, individuals that I know I've had an opportunity to meet through you, and we've had several meetings over the past 6 weeks or so. Why don't you tell us who we have with us today?
Sure. If they can stand up, we have Sofia Cortez, that is the Executive Director of the Salvadoran American National Association, SANA. We also have Renee Alvarez, who is a board member of the Latino Coalition of Los Angeles, and Leonardo Magana, who is the president of the BLQ Business Improvement District in Districts 1 and 10. So thank you all for being here.
Let's give them a round of applause for all the work that they do in our community.
Hiding in the background also Marco Leto, the president of COFECA, who for the last 25 plus years have spearheaded the Central American Parade in the city of Los Angeles, which is only second to the Rose Parade in size, and my good partner Rashad Rucker from the Latino Coalition in South LA.
All right. Okay. Now, I would like Mr. Price.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to stand and salute this outstanding nominee. Raul is going to do a great job. He certainly is committed to this community, and he's demonstrated that over and over again. And it's apparent it's going to be a family affair. And so we appreciate the involvement of your wife, who's a real partner with you, and your daughter. She's taken over as well as she should. So we just want to say again, Raul, congratulations. We know you're going to do an outstanding job, not just for South LA, but for the whole city. Congratulations, and keep up the good work.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Price. Okay, Mr. Claros, there's no more speakers on the queue, so I'm going to call for the vote. With that said, Madam Clerk, would you open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote?
13 ayes.
It's unanimous. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. I'd like to recognize Mr. Joe Buscaino.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Buscaino.
Thank you, sir. It gives me a great pleasure and a grand aloha to welcome a colleague of ours from the City Council in Waikiki, Council District 4, David. This is your colleague in Hawaii. Council District 4 visiting us. Councilmember Trevor Ozawa.
Let's give him a round of applause.
Los Angeles,
welcome, colleague.
City of Honolulu, And his district encompasses Waikiki. So thank you so much and welcome. Welcome to the City of Los Angeles and a grand mahalo.
Thank you. Aloha.
Aloha. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Enjoy your stay.
Thank you. Yeah, sure. We'll have a blue Christmas, as they say.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Clerk, what would be the next item?
Mr. President, at this point in time, we could go to item 7 called special for a remaining card.
Okay, let's go to item 7. And I have the card is Gill, filled out as Gill, G-I-L, Gill. Gill, if you're here, please come forward. Okay, I don't see anyone. So members, let's prepare to vote on this item. Let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Thank you. Okay, Madam Clerk, we're going to now vote on items 42, 43, 44, 45, 47, 49, 51, and 55. Mr. Huizar. Okay, let's eliminate 49. We'll hold that. So that's 42, 43, 44, 45, 47, 51, and 55. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Mr. Huizar, it's my understanding that you want to make a verbal amendment or adjustment on item 49, so we're now back on item 49.
Yes, if we could make an amendment to that, that we approve the time extension for 120 days as requested by the applicant in Council District 5.
Okay, so now on that item, we'll vote on it as amended. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Let's take item 22. Mr. Huizar, item 22.
Thank you, Mr. President. And colleagues, this is an item that marks the culmination of extensive work and collaboration on behalf of multiple agencies within the city, the county, the CRA, and the developer for this project related companies. The Grand Avenue project has been lurking in these chambers for many, many years, as it has in the county. And finally, we're coming to one of the final votes on making this great project on the corner of First and Grand a reality. It will revitalize what is currently a parking lot into a mixed-use complex with apartments, a hotel, retail spaces, and restaurants. It will continue to build on the burgeoning cultural center surrounding the Broad Museum and the concert hall, creating affordable housing and thousands of quality jobs. It will provide 300 more hotel rooms toward our citywide goal of 5,000 additional hotel rooms. You may recall that this body approved and authorized an incentive agreement this past June. Our action today follows up on that approval. This is simply the final contract negotiated by the CLA and approved by the city attorney. Without this assistance, the project would not happen. The CLA's economic study indicates that the project is dependent on this assistance.
Hold on, Mr. Huizar, please. Mr. Huizar, continue.
Lots of work to be done before the holidays and last council meeting, Mr. President. And the project happening means that nearly $400 million in tax revenue to the city. We are also approving the final community benefits package for this project. The project would be built and operated with union labor, including local residents and apprentices, with a focus on hiring from low-income neighborhoods. Of the apartment and condo units, 20% will be affordable to very low-income households. 10,000 square feet of the retail will be dedicated to local businesses. These are real, concrete benefits that I believe will create a positive impact. I want to thank Supervisor Solis for her partnership and vision for this project. I also want to thank Related, Steve Eimer, Ken Himmel, and their hard-working team. And a very big thank you to your city staff, to the CLA's office for your extensive, tireless work on these documents, for making sure the city gets the best deal possible. You know what, Mr. President? This is one of those times when I think the CLA's office deserves a round of applause.
Let's give
for
them
their
a
hard
round
work.
of applause.
Yes, thank
They
you very
deserve.
much.
They're led by a great leader in Ms. So, and they deserve a round of applause every day.
This is years of extensive and tireless work, and we want to thank them. I also want to thank the Bureau of Contract Administration for their thoughtful input and expertise, and of course, my other colleagues on the JPA board, Steve Valenzuela and Sachi Hamai. After many years, all the necessary components of a successful Grand Avenue project are coming together. This is not just any development. The Grand Avenue project is an iconic venture that will help further define downtown Los Angeles as a major cultural, civic, and artistic destination. This is a true collaboration among the city, county, and related, and all our partners that will reward Los Angeles with much-needed affordable housing and hotel rooms, diverse retail and arts programming, and thousands of good jobs. So after nearly 10 years, I want to congratulate everyone and ask a respectful yes on this item. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Huizar. Madam Clerk, would you please open the roll on this item? Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Thank you. Let's take up the vote on item 41. On 41, let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
And it's also my understanding we need to reconsider item 49. So if we could have a vote on reconsideration, let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
And Mr. Huizar, is it back to you?
If we could adopt the Plum Committee report, we actually got the language we needed in that report on time with some additional clarification. So we could adopt the Plum Committee report on that. Thank you.
Okay, so now let's vote on that. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Okay. Madam Clerk, let's vote on items 52, 53, 55, 56. I'm sorry, not 55. Let's go 52, 53, 54, 56. So let's prepare to vote on those items. Let's.
Pardon me, sir. 56 was previously continued to January 10.
Okay, we'll vote on those items minus 56. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
So now let's see if we can't vote on items 57, 58, 59, 60, and 61. So let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Moving on, items 62, 63, 64, and 65. Please open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Let's go to items 46 and 48. There are no speakers on the queue. Let us vote for these items. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Let's deal with item 50. We have cards. Sharuni, Jenny, Crusoe, Zumadog. Items 50. Please come forward and identify yourself. Oh, good to see you.
Good morning, Council President Wesson, honorable members of the City Council. My name is Charini Patibanda, Glazer Weil, and Tim McCosker and I are counsel to Alta Sea at the Port of Los Angeles. After 3 months of discussions with the City Attorney's Office, the EDA, and State Lands Attorneys, we are very happy to be in front of you here today and ask for your approval on the $3 million EDA grant awarded to Alta Sea and the Port of Los Angeles. The EDA was gracious enough to give us a 45-day extension in order to accept the grant because the grant had to move through our city process. The grant alone is money that will be spent on improvements to existing port infrastructure. This is a huge benefit to the city, but on top of that, Alta Sea has agreed to indemnify and protect the city against practically everything related to the terms and conditions in the ADA award. We're grateful to have your support, and we look forward to the approval of this item. With me is Jenny Crusoe, the Executive Director of Alta Sea.
Please, Ms. Crusoe, come forward.
Good morning, honorable council members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. We at Alta Sea are working nonstop on promoting, fundraising, and attracting subtenants to the port. We are in the midst of a flurry of activity and have already hosted great events like our flotilla, which welcomed Dr. Bob Ballard and his research vessel, the Nautilus, to its winter home at Alta Sea. We are also very proud with our partners to be the recipients of the LA 2050 award this year. We are honored to be partners with the port and to have won this grant from the EDA. Alta Sea is in the process of applying for many, many more grants like this one, and we are excited about our future with the city. We appreciate your support and ask for the approval of the EDA grant terms and conditions today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And now I'm looking for Mr. Zumadog. Item 50.
Yes, good morning, Council. My name is Zumadog, Zumadog.com, and I see that this is going to be federal money here from the United States Department of Commerce. That's federal money for this port project, and I would just like to remind you that currently Los Angeles is out of compliance with the federal government's requirements for acceptance of these types of funds. So perhaps you could hunker down on this project and come up with ways to ensure that the money is received with the new administration in the White House, so you do not put this at risk, because we need this federal money. Thank you very much. My name's Zumadog. Hi, Mike.
Thank you.
Always nice to see you. Zumadog.com.
Thank you, Mr. Buscaino.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I ask for your aye vote on the item before you. As you know, the LA waterfront is where it's at today, on the investments coming in, on retail dining, entertainment, just breaking ground last week on the Sampson Way realignment of the new San Pedro Public Market development. Thanks to the Port of Los Angeles and its private partners, the Rakovich team, we are so excited to move forward. Also on creating an opportunity to diversify the workforce, and Alta Sea will do just that. So I'd like to take this opportunity to say that I continue to support the development of Alta Sea and its vision at the Port of Los Angeles. Alta Sea's unique model combining business, science, and education champions a type of innovative leadership that makes our city thrive. And Alta Sea is a place where blue tech and innovation meet to develop solutions critical to the survival of aquaculture and its vitality. It's vitally important, rather, to the future of the Earth and its inhabitants. And with the design underway, Alta Sea's campus will be built in several phases over the course of the next 15 years. The LA waterfront feasibility just recently released revealed that Alta Sea will create hundreds of jobs and result in tremendous growth of economic activity locally and regionally. It's important, as the study showed, that it's important for us to diversify the workforce in and around the harbor communities of San Pedro and Wilmington, creating a Silicon Harbor, as we've done on the west side, Mike. And we've taken a page out of what's taken shape here in downtown Los Angeles, what's taken place on the west side, and waterfront development is happening, and we are moving forward, and Alta Sea will be that catalytic project that will create a diversified workforce, put people to work, and improve our housing stock, because people are going to want to live, work, visit in a specific community, and that for us it's that downtown San Pedro region. So we look forward to AltaSea's continued success at the Port of Los Angeles. They've done amazing work with creating partners such as the Dana Middle School STEAM Magnet and other STEAM educational programs throughout the LA Unified School District, with the bringing in Dr. Ballard as was mentioned earlier. So we are on the move. Thank you so much to the federal government. Thank you, Bob, for hearing this in your committee and fast-tracking this. And thanks to the port commissioners as well for embracing what's taken place at AltaSea, approving this EDA grant. And we know EDA grants across the country help revitalize depressed areas, impacted areas throughout this country. And it's our turn, it's our time to move forward and accept these dollars. $3 million in this EDA grant before us, so that AltaSea can continue to thrive and bring in more fundraising opportunities, because we need to ensure that those who support AltaSea, that it's real, that it's happening, and that's what's taking place here. So thanks again to Gene Soroka, the Port Administration, the Port Commission, and our partners at AltaSea for making this happen.
Mr. Bloomingfield.
Thank you. I just wanted to echo what Mr. Buscaino said. We heard this item in committee. We went through it to make sure both that it's great to accept these funds, but to make sure that the city and the port would not be on the hook going down further in terms of how we accept this money. We went through that. It's a great grant. It's truly transformative what's happening there. I'm excited about it. The committee's excited about it, and I urge your aye vote.
Thank you. Okay, let's, Madam Clerk, open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Okay, now I want to switch to general public comment. Cynthia Strathman, Noel Weiss, Oscar Mohammed, Zuma Dog, Mark Hurd. Noel, just keep coming. Identify yourself and begin.
Noel Weiss. Good morning, Council. I want to just basically address myself to this issue of the Westwood, 200 tenants basically getting evicted. Mr. Koretz's response. Mr. Wiesa, most of you predate, or post-date rather, our Lincoln Place issues back in 07, 08. Mr. Wiesar was here asking rhetorically at the time, what is the housing policy of the city? Now he's chairman of Plum. He knows what to do on this situation. Mr. Koretz, Mr. Wiesar will give you a direction. Mr. Bonin, who Mr. Rosenthal worked with Janice Hahn and I basically to get this law revised. Bottom line is, Vince Bertoni is really the person. When I work with Michael Legrande on these kinds of issues, silently behind the scenes, the planning department under the law we wrote has the ability and the jurisdiction to mediate and resolve. They have a lot of power. Mr. Koretz should convene, under Mr. Wesson, convene a meeting. Bertoni's there, the developer's there, the tenants' representatives are there, and you know what? You'll get the problem solved because you are who you are. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So if I can, again, Mr. Zumadog, Mark Hurd, Oscar Mohammed, Cynthia Strathman. Yes, Mr. Dog.
Yes, good morning, Council President Wesson. My name is Zuma Dog, and you could read everything I blog about at zumadog.com. Now, I'd like to talk today about your moving forward with the legalization of illegal street vending by non-documented, quote-unquote, illegals. I'm here to say to Joe Buscaino, he said that it is, regarding illegal street vending, it's the illegal immigrants who are most at risk. So you're going to legalize an illegal activity by the non-documented. That doesn't make sense. This is going to turn Los Angeles into third world Tijuana. Okay, now imagine you're a retail outlet, like a restaurant, and then a guy pulls up with the cart. Now, in addition to say that you're going to, it's only 2 per street, then you're going to have them fighting it out on the streets like the Venice Boardwalk, and we don't have enough LAPD enforcement to be constantly monitoring this. Do not move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mohammed, I see you back there. Cynthia Strothman and Mark Hurd. Yes, Mr. Mohammed.
Yeah, we should end the homeless down on Skid Row. We should create a government that can represent our people. Politicians disrespect the rights of other people, but anyway, we have racism in politics. But the Constitution said one race should not be in charge of another race. But we look at the wayfarers today, and people need more help than ever before in this end time we're living in. But we know that greed and deceit fears the Quran and the message that Muhammad brought to the world to civilize humanity. But anyway, we should create a better government because we're living in a broken political system. And a new government should come. The government can serve our people. But this would be a better land if we can live by the Constitution that governs us. No place in the Constitution see Democrat or Republican. I've read the Constitution many times. You don't right see Democrat or Republican in the Constitution of the United States, the book that governs us.
Thank you. Next speaker, come forward. Identify yourself.
Mark Hurd, H-E-R-D.
Go on.
Good morning, City Council. My name is Mark Hurd. I just qualified for the ballot for the 5th District to run against Paul Koretz. I want to thank you guys for all the work you guys have done. There's a lot of issues. The homelessness is, to me, the biggest issue. It's a crisis in L.A. I disagree with the way we're handling it. Subsidizing developers and spending $300,000 for a condo for one person is not the way to solve the crisis. The crisis is to open the shelters 24/7, 365, instead of closing them 6 months out a year and kicking them out at 5 a.m. when they are open. The solution is to trade property with the county and the city, switch properties so you can put prefab homes that cost $10,000, that come with a kitchen, bath, everything. There's a lot of solutions, and if you go to voteheard2017.com, you can read all about it. Thank you.
Thank you. So again, Cynthia, are you here? I don't. Okay, so that concludes general public comment. Mr. Cedillo, can we move to item 37?
We're asking that we adopt the CAO report that's been circulated.
Okay. With that said, let's, Madam Clerk, 37, open the roll. Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Koretz, you're on the queue on item 30.
Sorry,
no.
that wasn't there.
Okay, let's try this again. Item 37, let's open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Thank you. So let's recess this regular session and move into the special. Mr. Clerk.
Very good, sir. Blumenfield, Bonabuscan, Cedillo, Engler, Harris, Dawson, Weezer, Koretz, Coran, Martinez, O'Farrell, Price, Rue, Wesson. 14 members present. Mr. President, in today's special meeting, would you like to send all items forthwith?
Okay, well, let's just take them in order. Mr. City Attorney?
Just for the record, we have amending motions that have been posted and circulated on items 66, 67, 68, and 70. And on item 66, the members should treat the item as a fair hearing matter and focus their attention on the podium or the monitors at the front of their desks, please.
Thank you. Let's do. We're going to try to just do them in order. So, again, we'll do 66. Item 66. Okay, Mr. Spindler and Mr. Previn.
Okay. Oh, so we're going to take them in order instead of bunching them up. So, again, all of these additional special items are leading to the city's early bankruptcy. We can't afford this item. This item's too goddamn expensive, and you have to produce bonds to pay for it. Like Mitchell Englander said, we can't do that. But all of you will do it because all of you like to borrow money and give it to Wall Street, who issues junk bonds at tax-exempt rates. You people are running a Ponzi scheme. The city is running a Ponzi scheme. And then, after January 20th, with our new FBI director, they're going to come in here and conduct a city audit of the Los Angeles City. Yay! And then everybody here will be indicted. Thank you.
Mr. Previn.
Thank you, sir. This is Eric Previn from CD2, running for mayor, and this is in our district, so I would like to address this one. We have here a project at the Laurel Plaza area, and it's for 642 units, I believe, rental housing units. And so the question that immediately came to mind, and I scanned it carefully, is, are there any of those affordable? And I realize that there is a provision, but there are no affordable units in this particular project. I believe these are market rate. And so that raises, obviously, the concern, well, what are we going to get? What's the public going to get? And we remember 660 market rate units from 20,000 Prairie out at the Armbruster, Goldsmith, and Delvac project in Englander's district. And there also, there was no affordable. There was $100,000 to charity favorite number one and $100,000 charity favorite number two. So that was nice. Here, I believe Mr. Krikorian has actually held them to the fire a little bit and has created some requirement that they put money into an affordable housing trust fund of some kind. Now, I don't see that, though, in this item, so that worries me. Now,
Thank you, Mr. Previn. Thank you. Okay, let's prepare to vote on this item. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
And, Mr. President, again, that was as amended by 66A.
Okay, now we'll go to item 67. Bridget Bell, Eric Previn, Steve Clare, Susan Millman, Sarah Letts. When I call you, please come forward. Don't wait on anybody. When I call your name, if the mic is open, go to the mic.
And, Mr. President, while the speakers are making their way forward, would you care to send all items in today's special meeting forthwith?
Yes.
Very good, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Identify yourself.
My name is Bridget Bell, and I have worked in the Venice area for several years, and I want to come here today to support this item passing because I have children who go to school in Venice, and I want to teach them that it's important that everybody should have a roof. Thank you for taking the time to hear me.
No, thank you for coming. Next speaker, and I'll be looking for a Tyler Monroe and a George Bennett. Yes, please, whoever's next, just, sir, if I've called you, just keep coming. And just identify yourself.
Hello, my name is Steve Clare. I'm a 50-year Venice resident and homeowner. I want to thank the council for taking up this issue, particularly the leadership of Councilman Bott and the whole City Council for finally addressing an issue which Mayor Bradley identified 30 years ago. I think the site in Venice, the two sites in Venice, are appropriately sized so it will produce a significant amount of affordable housing. I'm particularly appreciative that the council has identified Venice Community Housing and Hollywood Community Housing as co-developers of one of the sites. Thank you very much.
No, thank you, sir. Mr. Previn, followed by Susan Millman. Yes.
Thank you, sir. So here is the city's affordable housing sites, and we appreciate this. Obviously, the public is very supportive of this initiative. There's a little bit of transparency issues, though. Unfortunately, I can't see where the CD7 property is. Some of them are identified in the item, but this one is not. I know there is one. I think the residents deserve a representative during this period to be sure, because these are the kinds of things that are either YIMBY, yes, in my backyard, or obviously NIMBY, no, in my backyard. So I think that it's fair that they should have a clear shot. Hopefully that these properties are sold and the civilian oversight component is real, and that we can make sure that there's a fair and equitable presentation, and that the pre-qualified contractors are not just cronies, but actually folks who are going to be given a fair shake. That would be great. Thank you. Eric Previn for Mayor.
Thank you. Next speaker, please come forward and identify yourself.
Good morning.
Susan Millman. I'm a 40-year Venice resident, and I'd like to thank the council for finally addressing the housing crisis of affordability and homelessness in Los Angeles and in the Venice area. I am very supportive of the housing that has been identified to be constructed and is so needed, particularly in Venice. And I thank Mr. Bonin for his leadership on this issue. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker.
My name is Sarah Letts. I'm the Executive Director of Hollywood Community Housing Corporation. We're very much in support of this item. We are partnering with Venice Community Housing on the site at Venice Dell. We have created affordable housing in Bonin's district once before, the Gateway Apartments project, and we are both nonprofits that are very invested in the community and looking forward to a robust community engagement process, and we thank you for this motion. Thank you.
Thank you for coming down. Next speaker. And we'll be looking for Susan Moore, Linda Lux, Maxwell, Jesus. Yes, sir.
Good morning. My name is Tyler Monroe, and I'm here on behalf of Thomas Safran Associates. I'm the Vice President of Development. I'm here just to express our gratitude for this opportunity to be involved in this project and thank the council for its leadership to address this issue. We, like my colleagues, are very much looking forward to a very robust and thorough community outreach and engagement process to come up with a terrific project that everybody will absolutely love. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next speaker. Deborah Jason, Becky Dennison. Yes, sir.
Good morning. My name is George Bennett. I reside at the Delray Square Apartments in the community of Delray. It's an affordable housing community. Following my bout with homelessness, I was able to attend Pepperdine University for a year earning a certificate in entrepreneurship. What I'm here to do is to put a better face on the affordable housing community. To that end, I have with me today other residents of Delray Square and Playa del Rey. I want the council to see what an affordable housing community looks like. We are not scary people moving into communities to bring property values down. I feel that we are indeed a strong asset to the communities in which we reside. So I would urge the council to adopt this initiative and move it forward. Thank you.
Now, thank you, and thank all of you. Thank you all for coming down. Thank you. Next speaker, please come forward. Yes, sir.
Good morning, council members. Appreciate the opportunity to address you this morning. My name is Curtis Johnson. I am also a resident of the Delray Square community in Delray area of West Los Angeles. I'm here to also put a face on homelessness. I was a person who became homeless as a result of a debilitating medical issue. And I had an opportunity after a year of homelessness to meet up with the people at Thomas Safran Communities and am now housed in those communities. Since I've become a resident of Thomas Safran, I've become a diabetes educator for the state of California, and I go into all communities and provide diabetes education for that. So Safran is not just providing housing, but also providing opportunities to improve the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And I just want to say to the, the folks that have come down, your presence is really pretty powerful. So I just want you to know that this council is seeing you, sensing you, and feeling you. And I hope that those that are watching this are seeing this as well. It's really pretty powerful. I wanted you to know that. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. That was very sweet. My name is Linda Lux. I'm the former president of the Venice Neighborhood Council. I'm here to support your brilliant move to use the resources of the city land that complements the overwhelming vote by the voters for Proposition HHH, which provides the money to do it. You have the land. It's just a great opportunity to see something done in your terms. You're going to get the legacy of seeing your yes vote today by the use of appropriate city land all over the city, and I hope this is just the first piece of it. Thank you for your yes vote, and you will be proud.
Thank you. I'm going to be looking for Alan Pick and Erica Lee, Marie Kennedy. Yes, ma'am.
I'm Susan Moore, and I'm a Venice resident. I want to talk about this from the perspective of the people that are going to really benefit from you making the decision to move forward on this. And those are the homeless women and children that I've spent 2 years working with in Venice. The women that come in and strongly move toward changing their life, getting jobs, which are very difficult to do in the last 2 years, keeping the jobs, determining how they can work full-time and still run their family. And they save money also. And then they go, and they can be as creative as calling places where they can find staging companies that will end up giving them free furniture to move into their new places. And then they hit the wall because they can't find affordable housing. There is no affordable housing for them. And that is very devastating with all the work they put in up front. But the other thing is there's no safe, affordable housing. They have children who take buses to school, and some that go downtown to private schools.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. So if I could have the next.
Good morning. I'm Becky Dennison with Venice Community Housing, also here in full support of this program, not just Venice Community Housing's portion of it, but we think it's very critical that city land be used to address the housing and homelessness crisis, and we are very proud and honored to be a part of this first group of developers. We have a commitment to all of us, all 4 teams, to collaborate, to work together, to move these projects fast, to engage the community in meaningful ways so that this first set of projects can be something we can all be proud of, and then we can expand the program even further and make sure that city land, any public land, anything that can bring the cost of affordable housing and permanent supportive housing down is done by you all. So that's our commitment. We hope to be back in front of you in a couple months after engaging with the community with the details of a project that, again, has this much support from Venice and even more. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please come forward and identify yourself.
My name is Alan Peck. I'm a 40-year resident of Venice. This is an historic day, and I'm here because I just want to be part of it. With the passage of HHH and the passage of this item, is that finally we're in a position to move forward on dealing with homeless in Venice, and I thank Councilman Bonin and his actions on this, and it's a day of celebration. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, I'm looking for Maxwell, Jesus, Deborah, Jason, Erica Lee, Marie Kennedy. Identify yourself.
Hi, my name's Erica Lee. I am a 2-year Venice resident, and I have a half-mile bike ride to work every day. The number of encampments that I pass and homeless individuals who I see on my very short ride to work has drastically increased. I am in full support of this project. Affordable housing and housing homeless individuals will give them not only an opportunity to live their lives, but change the community and show them what we can do. It is vital that we create this project, and yeah, that's all. Thank you very much.
No, thank you. Next speaker, please come forward, identify yourself.
Hi, I'm Marie Kennedy. Thank you for hearing us. I'm a homeowner in Venice, just a very short walk from the Pacific Dale site, totally in support of this program for the entire city. The crisis is huge, and you've stepped up to the plate to start addressing it. I also chair the board of Venice Community Housing, so being here as a volunteer, not a staff member. Thank you.
No, thank you. Next speaker, good morning.
Hi, I'm Deborah Graining. I've never done this before, so I'm very proud and excited to be here.
You're doing well. Just pull your mic down.
Okay.
All right.
I've been a resident in the Venice Canals for over 30 years. First of all, I want to thank Councilman Bonin for his leadership. Really appreciate it. I know that you've had a lot of, it's been a difficult process, but I want to give a voice to those who live in Venice who value the vitality and creativity that socioeconomic diversity has provided for us. As a homeowner, I've been dismayed by the rampant development and the loss of affordable housing in my community. The artists who made Venice homes, the valuable assets that they are, can no longer live there. In addition, of course, I support housing for everyone, so I think that it's really important that this move forward. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Hi, Jason Miles. I'm in support of this movement because I've been homeless for a while, and ever since I've been part of Gateway Community Housing and from Venice Community Housing at the Gateway Apartments, I'm a little nervous, so excuse me, bear with me.
Just relax.
But I come from homelessness. I've been a resident, I've been housed for 8 months, and I've seen an improvement in myself. I got a few medical disabilities, and some of the residents at my apartment building do too. But ever since we had stability, we've been improving. Mm-hmm. That's all I can say is we've been improving, and I'm
Good.
for improvement and recovery. Thank you.
No, thank you. So do we have a Tihana? A Tihana? Tihana, Maxwell, Jesus, and Mr. Spindler. Yes.
Hello, thank you for hearing us out. I just wanted to, on behalf of Venice Youth
Name?
Build. Sorry?
Your name?
Oh, my name is Tiana Quillisi. Sorry. On behalf of Venice Youth Build, I wanted to say that we are in full support of this proposal and very excited and enthusiastic to help the youth in our community better understand affordable housing and the importance it is in our communities. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Welcome.
Buenos días a todos.
Good morning, everybody.
Mi nombre es Jesús Barón.
My name is Jesus Barón.
Yo vivo actualmente en el proyecto Gateway de Marina del Rey.
I currently live in the project of Gateway in Marina del Rey.
Estoy muy agradecido a todos y cada uno de las personas que participaron en crear este proyecto.
I'm very grateful to each and one of everybody that participated in this project.
Porque yo era un homeless. Terminé en homeless sin que yo lo quisiera y en un momento rápido se me cayó la vida.
Because I was homeless and in a very short moment my life fell apart.
Pero gracias a esta gran bendición me ha cambiado la vida. Hoy tengo una casa, he recuperado a mi esposa, ahora vivimos muy contentos y felices.
Thanks to this opportunity, his life has changed. He has reunited with his wife and his life has changed for the better.
Yo quisiera que este tipo de proyectos continuaran porque esto viene a ayudarnos para vivir mejor en este bendito país.
I would like for these projects to continue for the help of everyone in this country.
Muchas gracias.
No, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. So do we have Maxwell and Mr. Spindler? Mr. Spindler, Maxwell, if you're here.
This is one thing everybody going to agree on. Excellent. This is a good project. This is a good thing. This is what we should be doing. Now, what the other lady said, when you go to the Venice Neighborhood Council, you go to these planning committees, they're always trying to tear down affordable housing. That's got to stop. That's bull. Now, that's one end of it. On this side of it, we've got to build places for people to live and people to get off the streets. And it's like this guy said, he's right. That situation over there near Marina del Rey, everybody in Venice and Marina del Rey and the marina, everybody's connected. And I've been going down to the marina, back with my family in the start of the 70s, in the boating. And we do a lot of boating and we do a lot of things down there. Not so much now, but Venice is the greatest goddamn place in the city of Los Angeles, and this is going to make it better. And for that, I thank you.
Okay. Yes, sir. And do I have a Lupe? Lupe, please come forward. Yes,
Good
sir.
morning. My name is Maxwell Harris, and I currently work for Venice Community Housing. I've worked there for 5 years, and previously I worked for Hollywood Community Housing for 6 years. At Hollywood Community Housing, I was an asset manager of working with the population, formerly low-income, formerly homeless. Today, I'm the housing director for Venice Community Housing, and I work very closely with formerly homeless people and folks who are low income. I've always been saying we need to build more affordable housing, and I'm so excited to once again to work with Hollywood Community Housing on a project in Venice. We just completed the Gateway project. It's a beautiful project. People there are very happy. They're improving, and it makes us feel good as staff members. I'm a dedicated low-income housing provider, and I truly look forward to working with the city closer, and for the future to do more of these types of projects. We need to get on doing it, and I'm glad that you guys are going to help us to do that today.
Next speaker.
Hello, my name is Lupe Garcia, and I work for Venice Youth Build, also work for Venice Community Housing, and I'm here to use my voice for the youth of my community. I want to grow up in a community where I can live in a home. I want to have shelter, and I want my community if you don't have money, you're not supposed to struggle to provide shelter for your family. And I want to thank the city for this Thank you.
Thank you. Edgar Lopez. Edgar, please come forward. Okay, Edgar, you're going to be the last speaker on this item.
Hi, good morning. My name is Edgar Lopez, and I thank you guys, and I'm here supporting also the Venice Community Housing. One thing is that we want to build affordable housing for everyone. You know, Venice is a very beautiful place, you know, and nowadays now you cannot afford anything like that. I used to have my life destroyed and everything like that, and I'm a current student at the Venice Community Housing, and I'm changing my life, and I would love to live here always and have a family one day, you know, and always be in Venice, you know, but, you know, also have a good place to live, and I'm sorry, I'm kind of nervous.
Just relax.
You know, and I want to thank you guys if you guys are supportive for this construction and every single thing like that, and I want to say thank you all right? Thank you.
Edgar, we wish you the best. Awesome. Know that. We wish you the best, young man. Okay, I'd like to call on Mr. Bonin.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you for allowing public comment on this item today, even though it was satisfied in committee. I want to thank everybody who came out here today. This was really overwhelming and heartwarming to see all the people who came out to testify, urging the city to take this action today. I was particularly moved by the stories from the residents of Delray Square and Gateway Apartments, who put a real human face on this. You know, I keep under glass here on my desk some stories that were told this year at the Celebrating Success Breakfast on the West Side, stories of people who've made the transition from homelessness to housing and how that housing changed their lives. And I do it to remind me. When we approved the comprehensive homelessness strategy back in February, I said at the time that it was a good thing we did it, but it was, if solving homelessness in Los Angeles is a marathon, it was simply filling out the registration forms. And when voters approved by such overwhelming margins Triple H a couple weeks ago, that was paying the registration fee. And this is where the running of the race actually begins. This is where the running of the race actually begins. I often talk about how the county, during their comprehensive homelessness strategy, talked about the problems that they caused and how they're going to fix them. That if you age out of the foster care system, if you're discharged from a hospital or jail or institution, you're likely, incredibly likely, to wind up living on the streets. And they decided to fix that pipeline. And we decided in our comprehensive homelessness strategy work that one of the areas where we were falling down, where we were causing homelessness, was that we weren't creating enough homeless housing and we weren't creating enough affordable housing. And this strategy that Mr. Santana helped us craft and that Mr. Marquise Harris Dawson helped us lead on in Homelessness and Poverty Committee understands that one of the biggest barriers to housing is the cost of the land. And we have lots of surplus property here. I'm proud that of the 8 properties here, 4 of the ones we're discussing are in my district. I look forward to us continuing this process so that we're evaluating more and more properties throughout the city, and I know we're going to do that. It's very important that we do this because folks can argue however they want and they can tell the stories however they want, but we have a very stark choice. Do we want people living in tents on our streets, or do we want them in housing? Do we want folks living in the wetlands, in the canyons, under our bridge underpasses, or do we want them in housing? And the only way to solve homelessness is housing. And this is a very big step for the city of Los Angeles to do that. I'm glad to see that there are so many people here urging us to do this today. That's not the full picture. As everybody who testified knows, there's a very large number of people in the communities I represent who don't want us to do this. And so let me repeat what I said in committee to the developers, to Venice Community Housing and Hollywood Community Housing and to Thomas Safran Associates. This needs to be a genuine and a robust community process. I need the developers who are selected to have the exclusive negotiating rights for these properties for a few years to go out and really work with the community and discuss whether there should be a proposal, what the proposal should look like, what population it should serve. Those are important conversations and they need to be real, and I look forward to them. This is an important thing, and I'm glad we're doing it. And again, I'm so moved by the stories of those whose lives have been changed. We need to create more of those stories, and this is a way that we can create them. I have one small technical amendment to make today. It's been circulated as 67B, and I need to correct even what's been circulated. The motion says it's a change in the Homelessness and Poverty Committee report. It's actually a change in both the Homelessness and Poverty Committee and the Entertainment and Facilities Committee reports regarding the old fire station in Westchester. The reports indicate support the CAO's recommendation to sell the property because it is apparently too small for the type of housing that we're looking for. I'd like the CAO to revisit that, and that's what my amending motion does, so that we can discuss with the community whether or not it might be appropriate to do something with Habitat for Humanity or an organization like that, so that if we're not going to be able to do anything that is done by one of the larger developers, that maybe the community can engage with a smaller nonprofit to build some single-family homes for first-time home buyers or for people who are struggling with poverty. So I'd ask for an aye vote on 67B as inarticulately amended by me just now.
Thank you, Mr. Bonin. Mr. Harris Dawson.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair and members. We appreciate all of you who came all the way from your various neighborhoods to testify, to do something on behalf of someone other than yourself. We truly appreciate it. It's a good follow-up from Measure HHH. One of the reasons why this morning gives me a particularly warm feeling as we prepare to go into the holiday break is we're going around town campaigning for HHH. When I got to my home district and I had to look my voters in the eye, they said to me, well, you know, Marquise, this is a good idea and we're all for building housing for the homeless, but you know what's going to happen. They're going to build it all right here in our neighborhood, and the rest of the city, the west side, they're not going to have any of these units. And so to come right out of the box on our first set of developments, to have some of them in the west side, some of them in South LA, and some of them in other parts of the city, sends a powerful message to some of the voters who supported HHH the most. So I want to thank Mr. Bonin especially, but all of my colleagues for stepping to the plate and doing something that's not easy, and not easy in a political environment. And so you can see the lives that get turned around how night can turn into day when we do the right thing. So we thank everybody for setting the example, and we encourage an enthusiastic aye vote.
Thank you. Okay. Now, let's prepare to vote on this item. Madam Clerk, open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate.
14 ayes.
That's approved.
And again, sir, for clarification, that's as amended by 67A and B as amended.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Bloomingfield.
Wanted to announce we have in the back, we earlier had a group from James Jordan Middle School. We have another group from James Jordan Middle School in Winnetka with Miss Corey. Why don't you wave students and give them a big hand? They're here to learn about how the city works.
Let's give them a round of applause. Can we get the camera back on them? Yeah. Welcome, guys. Thank you for coming.
All right.
All right. So, Mr. Clerk, what's the next item before this council?
That brings us to items 68 through 71. There are items for which public hearings have not been held. For item 69, a motion is required to approve or disapprove, and for all items, 10 votes are required for consideration.
So without objection, let's go 68. Do I have Joe Montano? Mr. Walsh? Sean? And Oscar Mohammed? Yes, sir.
Joe Montano, Coalition for Economic Survival. CES fully supports this tenant buyout agreement program. This is long overdue and should have been approved on November 8th. Unfortunately, landlord-developer intimidation to pressure tenants to accept cash for keys deals has continued to persist, making approval of this ordinance urgent. Many tenants don't know their rights, believe they have no choice, and opt to take the money and leave. We have received almost daily requests for assistance from tenants facing tenant buyout situations since Council has been discussing this. The ordinance must require that the buyout agreement with the amount offered be filed with HCID. If you find that it is legal for the city to deny providing the amounts to the general public, you must delete that provision, but you must continue to require that the full agreement with the amount be filed with HCID. This is the only way to ensure protection for tenants. The longer you delay, the more tenants will be illegally forced out of their homes. We urge your vote to pass this ordinance today. Thank you.
Thank you. So if I'm looking for Mr. Walsh,
John Walsh,
Oscar Mohammed, Sean, Mr. Spindler. Okay, Mr. Walsh.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org. We're in favor of this. I mean, we have the nerve. The nerve is that the developer, who is not our landlord, is sending people to our apartments trying to make us sign buyouts. The developer owns nothing. It's not the landlord that's doing it. It's the developer. This is at Hollywood and Vine. We need lawyers. We need a lawyer in there. He sent tenant relocation people to our homes telling us that we were going to get an eviction notice next month. That was a year and a half ago. That's not the landlord I'm talking about. That's a developer who owns nothing, who has some big pictures of what he wants to get rid of. I mean, what he wants to replace our apartments with at Hollywood and Vine.
Thank you, Mr. Mohammed.
And Mr. President, again for this matter, 68A is before council, has been posted and circulated.
Yes, sir.
But we minorities, we need representation. You know, when programs come out saying what they're going to do for the houses and rent stabilization, and when the people get the information, they don't understand what they read. We need lawyers to represent us, as Mr. Wash said, though. We should end the homeless. We should change our government. United States government disrespect the obligation for justice. and also, United States government, they treat their minorities outcasts and human. We can see the situation on Skid Row. But we see what we need: transparency, openness, and honest government. But that's gone, though. That used to be when the founding fathers left. Honest government had left. But the blacks live in super poverty, the whites live in standard poverty, while the Jews live on the hill. But we should have one law to treat all races equal, though. We should be lived by the Constitution of the United States. and we should try to find a way that the people in America try to care for each other.
Okay, Mr. Spindler, followed by Sean.
Yes, this is the way. We need to protect people with rent-controlled apartments from giving away their apartment at gunpoint. Yes, this is what happens. Developers come in and they make you an offer you can't refuse. If you don't give them the apartment, they put a horse head in your bed, and we're going to stop that shit now. So support this motion and add an amendment like Sacramento will do with immigration. Give these people a free lawyer. Each person should get a free 5-hour retainer with a property lawyer before they sign
Get on the
anything.
subject.
And the landlord and the property owner should prove that council was consulted before these people give away. So we stop this bullshit. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, you're done in the special. That's your time. Do we have Sean? Okay. Mr. Koretz, did you want to speak on this item? There must be a technical. So let's prepare. Did you want to speak, Mr. Koretz?
Sure, I did. Thank you, Mr. President. In November, I offered an amendment that I felt would allow us to move forward with this ordinance in a way that would be beneficial to both tenants and landlords. Although, as it turned out, it appears the idea of redacting certain information wouldn't work with the Public Records Act, and the workarounds that I discussed with the City Attorney's Office also aren't feasible. And especially since I've been going through a crisis in my district where we have a landlord trying to evict almost 200 senior citizens, it's become more clear than ever to me that we need to move this quickly and make sure that tenants understand all their rights when landlords are trying to evict them. So in the interest of getting these added protections in place sooner rather than later, and because the workarounds that we thought would make this a win-win for everybody don't work, I support receiving and filing my amendment so we can move this forward with the original ordinance.
Thank you, Mr. Koretz. Let's members prepare to vote on this. Madam Clerk, open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Mr. Clerk, does that bring us to item Mr. Sadillo?
With on that, since
All items today, even in the special, are going forthwith. So that should bring us. Okay, Mr. Cedillo's requesting an urgent forthwith, so let's vote on that. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
That's a done deal, Mr. Cedillo. Okay, Mr. Clerk, let's move on to, is it item 770?
We still have 69, 70, and 71, sir.
Okay, well then let's go to item 69.
And Mr. President, a motion is required for this item.
Okay, I'll make the motion, and Mr. Weezer will second. It'd be a motion to approve. Item 69, I don't think Sean is here, and we want Mr. Walsh to come and speak.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org, J. Walsh Confidential. This concerns how the ballot measures will appear on the March 7th ballot next year. The Neighborhood Integrity Initiative, well, you have it disguised here as building moratorium. Yeah, it bans building for a couple of years. It bans building huge high-rises for a couple of years. Restrictions on general plan, no amendments, only concerning the cancerous growth that occurs in this city. This is the Neighborhood Integrity Initiative. Required review of general plan, initiative ordinance, This is the neighborhood integrity ordinance. You're slitting your own throat if you vote against it because they're going to tear down you. And your Jews, you better believe, they're coming into your neighborhood next. So watch out, Jews.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh. Let's now prepare to vote on this item. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Okay, Mr. Clerk, let's move on to item 70.
Very good, sir. And for item 70, there is an amending motion, 70A, that has been posted and circulated.
So if I can get Oscar Mohammed, come on, Mr. Previn, and Mr. Walsh.
Thank you, sir. It's Eric Previn from CD2. Item 70 is the relative to the 2017 World Police and Fire Games. Now, obviously, this is, believe it or not, law enforcement, fire enforcement folks who are going to compete in some games, and the idea is it's going to take place here in Los Angeles, and the hotels will benefit, certainly the communities. Everybody wants to see cops doing activities that are healthful and good. It sounds great, actually. The question is, how much is it going to actually cost, and you know, if anything. And the comparison, I just have to call it out because whenever I see something that seems questionable, I just need to raise it up, which is, how could this be the same size as the Summer Olympics? That seems exaggerated, so I think we should leave out that kind of hyperbole unless we really mean it. But it can't possibly be the same size event. That would be very, very. That is an awful. This is a place that they were trying to get Montreal, but they ran into labor negotiations. That's another thing that many of the members of this body need to scan carefully as the union officials are watching you closely. Hopefully, we're not giving comfort.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh. Mr. Mohammed, are you going to speak on this item? Come on down. Yes, Mr. Walsh.
John Walsh, J. Walsh Confidential. This concerns the World Games, the World Police and Fire Department Games. Look, you want to spend $605,000 on games. Take that goddamn $605,000 and partially pay off the loan of $8 million that you just yesterday had to incur because of police misconduct. And if you want to do something, put a warehouse, take one of the warehouses downtown, set it on fire, and let's see how fast all the fire departments in the world can put it out. We're talking about the worst fire. California has the worst fire departments in America, in the world. And you want to spend $605,878 of our money.
Thank you, Mr. Mohammed.
Yeah, it's, but the Los Angeles Fire Department and the Los Angeles Police Department, they are the richest department, they're the richest fire department, police department in the world, in America. But we see where the policemen and the fire department get $300,000 and $400,000 grant every 5 or 6 months. And we don't have no direction which way the money is going to uplift Los Angeles. And we have on the memorandum or the agreement between the police department and the California Police Athlete Federal Attachment, we have, with the people are the voice of the outlet. They just come and tell us what they want to do. We don't have no type of voice and direction of the police department is going, no direction department of the fire department is going. But we need, what we said, we need an open government that can serve the people. But we put our hands on the Constitution of the United States. We're sworn to uphold the Constitution of America.
Okay, thank you. Let's prepare to vote on this item. Let's, Madam Clerk, open the roll, close it, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Okay, that should bring us, Mr. Clerk, to item 71.
Yes, sir.
Okay, there are no speakers on item 71. Let us prepare to vote on that item. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Okay, does that, have we concluded our business in the special?
Yes, sir. Would you like to adjourn the special and
let's
return to the...
adjourn and return to the regular.
Very good.
Okay, what's before this body?
Mr. President, Council has motions for posting and referral.
They are posted. They are referred. Announcements, members? Announcements? Well, I'll just say I wish everybody a happy holidays. Now, if we could please rise. We're going to adjourn if we could rise. And I want to go to Mr. Koretz first, I'm told.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, we lost a great entertainer and a great individual when Alan Thicke passed away yesterday from a heart attack. He was 69. And Thicke's career spanned 5 decades, one in which he played various roles on and off screen, from actor to writer to composer to author. He'll probably be remembered most for his role on Growing Pains, the hit sitcom featuring his character Jason Seaver. Thicke went on to appear in numerous television shows and films, often appearing as himself in shows, including How I Met Your Mother. He recently appeared on Netflix's Fuller House, a reboot of another 1980s sitcom featuring Bob Saget and Candace Cameron. Thicke was born in Ontario, Canada in 1947. He began his career in Canadian television before moving behind the scenes in American television. In the 1970s, he wrote for Fernwood Tonight, a short-lived satirical talk show that was great, that later became America Tonight. He also wrote for The Richard Pryor Show. He composed theme songs for the game show Wheel of Fortune and sitcoms Different Strokes and The Facts of Life. He also helmed the Canadian talk show, The Alan Thicke Show, in the 1980s. And like any good Canadian, Thicke was a big hockey fan, frequently attending the LA Kings games, and took credit for introducing the sport to a number of celebrities. He also played hockey himself, and I believe had his heart attack as he was preparing to play on the ice. Aside from his love of hockey and entertainment, Thicke had another crusade. He started the Alan Thicke Center for Diabetes Research because one of his sons has juvenile diabetes. He also became associated with the March of Dimes Canada, which provides community-based services for people with physical disabilities. He is survived by his sons Carter and singer Robin, and my friend Brennan Thicke, as well as his wife Tanya, and he will be greatly missed by his fans and his friends and relatives.
Ms. Martinez?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I'd like to take an opportunity to adjourn in the memory of Jose Asa Faiz of the Arleta community. Jose was 80 years old at the time of his death. He came to the United States from Cuba in 1955 and moved to Los Angeles. He then met his beautiful wife, Rosa Maria, in an English class in 1955 and were married 2 years later. Jose continued his education by completing high school in the United States after only receiving 5th grade education in Cuba. Jose worked at the historic General Motors assembly plant in Van Nuys from 1957 to 1987. He was a family man who raised 3 children along his wife, Rosa Maria. Mr. Faiz passed away on Sunday, November 20th, and he was laid to rest on November 29th. He is survived by his wife, Rosa Maria, his 2 sons, Joseph and Ben, and 1 daughter, Sophia, and 7 grandchildren. Can I have a second adjournment? Colleagues, I ask that we adjourn today in the honor of a man whose life embodied the essence and spirit of what the Northeast San Fernando Valley is all about. My good friend Rafa Torres passed away on December 10th, 2016. The second of Margarita and Rafael Torres' 7 children, Rafael Torres Jr., was born on May 13, 1963 in Tototlan, Jalisco. Born with a work ethic that would shame the most successful men today, Rafaelito and his family, how they affectionately called him, began to work at a very young age. By the time he was 7, Rafael was working alongside his family, cleaning out pig pens and selling chicharrones, as well as his mom's homemade candies. In 1971, the Torres family moved to the United States, bringing with them their work ethic and entrepreneurial spirit. At the age of 12, Rafa began working at the San Fernando swap meet, creating a niche for himself by loading and unloading trucks for the merchants while also distributing flyers for the different vendors and businesses at the swap meet. After school, the Torres family would work together as a team, cleaning the offices of various businesses in the neighborhood and collecting materials to recycle. As a young man, Rafael recognized that the only way to get ahead was through work ethic and his education. Although he worked countless hours, countless evenings and weekend hours as a kid, he never stopped attending school. Amazingly, even after open heart surgery at the age of 17, he turned to homeschooling to ensure that he didn't fall behind. Rafa attended Pacoima Elementary School, San Fernando Junior High, and graduated from San Fernando High School. He continued his education at LA Valley College, all the while working his way through school and jobs at local department stores and the aerospace industry. Rafa knew that life was not free and that he needed to work hard. In 1981, Rafa met his beautiful wife, Irma Teresa Montes, the love of his life, who he married in 1986. 30 years later, the next generation of the Torres family continued with their three sons, Rafael Torres III, Danny Torres, and Jose, along with two daughter-in-laws and three granddaughters and two grandsons. Members, Rafa's life was a love story in and of itself. But as I mentioned earlier, Rafa Jr. was also the story of what makes the Northeast Valley so special. Rafa wanted to honor his father's name and his family legacy. He always envisioned doing this by creating a family business that would be treasured for generations to come. And I have to tell you, colleagues, he certainly accomplished that. In 1987, he established Carniceria Torres. Then, with the support of his family, he purchased the land where the Torres family home stood and built Casa Torres restaurant and plaza in Sylmar. He expanded his small empire by building Casa Torres Banquet Hall in the city of San Fernando. Then with his creative passion and drive, he built Palacio Torres in Sylmar. He called it, for those of us who know the neighborhood, we would agree, the jewel of the Northeast San Fernando Valley. Casa Torres establishments has been used for countless weddings, quinceañera, banquets, fundraisers, and other events. In fact, many of you probably had the opportunity to visit Palacio Torres, whether you're attending a community breakfast or a forum or to watch election night results or campaign celebrations. Rafa knew the community here in the Northeast San Fernando Valley deserved a premier event space, and Palacio Torres was his pride and joy. The Casa Torres brand overall was truly special to Rafa, not because the businesses was a success, but because throughout all of his ventures, Rafa and his family worked alongside him. Hombro a hombro, mano a mano, shoulder to shoulder, hand in hand. The Northeast San Fernando Valley is a very special place, and he made sure that he conveyed the story in everything that he did. For countless people, born here or not, the Northeast San Fernando Valley is a crossroads where families and their dreams interact with the opportunity and the blessings that come with diligence and hard work. The story of the Northeast San Fernando Valley is the story of my friend Rafa. Rafa leaves behind his loving wife, his kids, his grandkids, his nieces, his nephews, and the entire Casa Torres family and staff and community members. And I just want to add one special note. When I was getting married, Rafa took me to a really special place. I got married in a hacienda in Northridge, and he knew of this beautiful location that no one's ever heard of. It's called Cordillera del Norte. It's in Mitch Englander's district. So he took me to this amazing place and says, "You have to get married here." Well, of course, I got married in a Catholic church, but the reception was at the hacienda. And Rafa catered my wedding, but it was an amazing venue that very few people in the valley know about. And I have to say, he transformed that place for me. And it was a truly, Rafa was just that kind of a guy. He knew exactly your taste and just made sure that he fulfilled your dreams. When my daughter was born, he said, "You have to make sure you celebrate her baptism at Palacio Torres," and that's what we did. We had a huge party at one of his locations. I ran into Rafa when my father was in the hospital in October, and I knew something was wrong. He wouldn't tell me. He was just so worried about what was going on with me and my dad. I bumped into him in the elevator, and he said, "Hey, how are you doing?" And I didn't recognize him. He was in a wheelchair. And I felt so terrible because I didn't recognize him. And he said, "Remember I organized your wedding?" And I'm like, "Oh, my goodness." And then it just hit me, and I'm like, "Rafa." And I would never forget. We got out of the elevator together, and he was so worried about me and my family and what was going on with my father that, he just couldn't get into what was going on with him, and he passed away a month later. So, Rafa, rest in peace. You will always be in my heart. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. O'Farrell?
Thank you, Mr. President. It is with great sadness that I ask we adjourn today's meeting in memory of Ron Philip Andrade. Ron Andrade was born on May 14, 1947, and began his great journey on December 9th of this year, last week. Ronald, more affectionately known as Ron, was first and foremost a dedicated father to his children, a politician, a philanthropist, and an American Indian activist. He was a member of the La Jolla Band of Luiseno Indians, where he also served as a member of the Tribal Council. After graduating from Hueneme High School in 1965, Ron joined and served in the United States Marine Corps from 1965 to 1970, and further continued to serve as active duty for the reserves. After his service, Ron dedicated his entire working career to the advancement of American Indians across the United States. In 1972, he, along with his older brother Daniel Andrade, started the San Diego Indian Center and began their own consulting firm in 1975. Between 77 and 78, Ron served as the executive director of the San Francisco Indian Center. Between 1980 and 1983, Ron served as the executive director of the National Congress of American Indians. There, he worked with a variety of tribes, including but not limited to the Lumbee Indians of North Carolina, where he acted as a consultant to the tribal government, as well as serving as a guest judge for their annual pageant. For a year, in 1984, Ron served as staff assistant to the Assistant Secretary for Indian Affairs of the California Indian Task Force at the Department of the Interior. From 1986 to 1987, Ron was an American Indian Affairs Specialist of the Equal Opportunity Office in the Department of Agriculture. In May of 1988, Ron was appointed by President Ronald Reagan as a member of the National Advisory Council on Indian Education. After these prestigious positions and appointments, Ron returned to California to begin and finish his career as the executive assistant of the Los Angeles City County Native American Indian Commission, where he served for 20 years. There, he helped bring millions of dollars of needed resources into the Los Angeles American Indian community, served as a policy watchdog on issues ranging from Indian child welfare to sacred sites protection issues, and was a passionate and unwavering advocate for the community throughout the state and country. Ron had a long career as a public servant. We worked together on various initiatives, including the establishment of Indigenous Peoples Day in the city of Los Angeles. He was a warm and friendly, but he never hid his passions while fiercely protecting the Native American community. Ron will be missed, but his spirit will live on through the people he knew and the differences he made while on this earth. Ron is preceded in death by his daughter Nancy Andrea Cherie Andrade, his father Luis Andrade, his mother Annie Andrade, and his brothers Ernest and Daniel Andrade. He is survived by his children Rhonda Thomas, Adrian Lowry, Gavin Lowry, Elizabeth Lowry, Stephanie Andrade, Emma Andrade, and Ronald Philip Andrade. Junior Page, as well as his brother Arthur Andrade, his sisters Rachel, Yaquel, and Luis Andrade, and his 8 grandchildren, and more relatives and family friends than I can name here. Ron was a terrific, passionate, hard-headed individual who contributed so much to the Native American community, especially of Southern California and the county of Los Angeles, and he will be missed by many. May he rest in peace.
Thank you, Mr. O'Farrell. I'm now looking to Mr. Buscaino.
No adjourning motion, if I may, Mr. President, before we
But wait,
break.
let me just make sure. Are there any other adjourning motions? Okay, Mr.
Thank you.
Buscaino.
I'd like to recognize, before we break for winter recess, Justin Wesson. If we can get Channel 5 to zoom in on that incredible suit. Thanks for putting a smile on our faces here. Happy holidays, and looking really, how brave is that?
It's
Give
a
him round of
good-looking
applause.
suit.
Good job, Jay.
And what you should all know, in your offices, there's one for each and every one of you.
That's all right.
It says Happy New Year's, and we wear it when we come back.
All right.
And I see you, Mr. Koretz. I'm going to recognize you. At this time, Mr. Paul Koretz.
Thank you, Mr. President. If we could go back to announcements, I'd like
Yes.
to ask that council members and anyone within the sound of my voice join us at 12:30 on the Spring Street Courtyard steps for Chabad Hanukkah, and our mayor is going to be joining us. We are going to have holiday music and light the City Hall menorah, and I'm happy to be joined by the longtime West Coast head of Chabad, Rabbi Kunin here, and if I can let him say a couple words.
Of course. So good to see you, Rabbi.
It's hard for me to say just a couple words, but I will do my best. First, I want to thank all of you. Wonderful, wonderful. First of all, starting with Paul and so many others, all of you. We have Chabad in all of your districts, I'm sure. I want to thank you so much for helping us. And this is a day of the Rebbe's marriage to the previous Rebbe's daughter, and he became the Chabad Rebbe, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, since 1926 when they got married. And I want to wish all of you to come and join us. It's going to be so much fun outside. What's the message of Hanukkah? Don't let the darkness that surrounds us keep back our light. And you folks, that's your mission. You've been elected by the wonderful citizens of our communities to bring light. So God bless you all, and we'll have a little dancing and some music and some donuts and all of the rest outside at 12:30. God bless you all. Healthy and a happy New Year.
And God bless
happy
you.
Hanukkah.
And Rabbi Kunin is a good dancer. And I have the photo of you and I right up at the front of my office upstairs here. Okay, I want to remind the members that the next council meeting will be January 10th of next year. This council is adjourned. Happy holidays, everybody.